Hello everybody, in this video I have a mixed media process to share with you for the Thompson's Craft Supplies design team. I was in need of some cards and I thought it's been ages since I've made any mixed media cards, so yep, that's what we're doing in this video. I cut myself 3 5x7 pieces of card just from very heavy cardstock. I prefer to do it on a separate piece first and then just stick it to the card blank when it's finished, and otherwise, if you do it straight to the card blank it tends to warp and it's just way easier to do it this way. So I'm using my October kit, which featured, well, the main part of it was this 13 Arts Summer Rhapsody paper pack, and it's got this sort of cut apart sheet with these lovely sort of frames with various bits in, and I thought I'd cut 3 of those and then just make the cards around those. I will just apologise in advance if I cough or snuffle or anything during this process video. Just I've got one of those lingering colds that just won't go away. I'll probably have to pause the voiceover a few times to have a coughing fit. I'm totally fine, it's just, when the symptoms linger on a little bit longer than you would like them to. So anyway, just letting you know about that. So I'm going to start on the backgrounds and just do lots of messy painting, really, just to make sort of a very messy, shabby chic-esque background on each one. That pink paint I was using there is the Fabrica Decoru Shabby Velour paint in the colour Berry Mousse, I think, and that dries like a really chalky textured finish. This one I'm using here is the also Fabrica Decoru Chameleon metallic paint in, I think it's pink gold, yeah, and then this one here, the gold, is Imagination Crafts Starlights paint in antique gold, so very sort of gold and pink and all that sort of colour palette, and I'm just really messily just brushing that on, no rhyme or reason to it, just slapping it down on the card. And then with those dry, I decided to use the gilding flakes around the edges, just because I don't use them very much and I always really like the effect. So I'm taking my Nuvo glue pen and just adding bits of the glue around the edges, and then when that's sort of dry and tacky, that's when you add your flakes. So I like to use a brush to add my gilding flakes, just because I really don't like the texture of it on my fingers. It makes me go la la la. So that's why I use a brush, and I'm just finding those sticky spots where I've put the glue and just brushing that down onto there. Obviously the glue dries white, so you can't actually see where it is, so you just sort of have to feel around, find a tacky spot, and then whap on your gilding flakes like so. They do make such a mess, these things, but I think the effect afterwards is really worth it and really nice, because you get that proper gold metallic shine. And then once that is done with the gilding flakes, I'm going to have a little clean up, because otherwise you're going to get little gold flecks absolutely everywhere, and then just do a little bit of light stenciling on these backgrounds, which I thought I would include because I did it, but I end up covering it up a lot just because I didn't really like the way it looked. Like that first stenciling I did with the paper paste, you can see that didn't go very well in general. And then the stuff I do here, which is with Nuvo embellishment mousse in the colour Mother of Pearl, that's a little bit better, but still it just didn't look great. So as I said, I do end up covering up a lot of it. You just see little bits of it poking up behind the other things I put on the cards. Now, some idiot, when she took her stencils off to wash in the sink and then came back, forgot to turn the camera back on when she was doing loads of splatters. So yeah, you missed that, but basically I was just adding a load of splatters on the background of the card. I think I was using Distress Oxide in Victorian Velvet and the Fabrica Decoru chalk spray that came with my kit, but I'm going to use that again towards the end, so you will see it again. And then here I'm just using some of the scraps and bits that I got with my kit, which was like the bits of trim and tool and stuff, and I took them off to my sewing machine and then just stitched them straight onto the cards. I just love the effect when you have like actual stitching rather than using glue. Just think it looks really pretty, and I just did those in random places. One card just has the tool, one has little scraps of ribbon, and so on and so forth. And then for every single card, I'm going to stamp and emboss the main sentiment. So I needed a thank you card, a get well soon card, and a birthday card. The thank you sentiment is from a Dovecraft stamp, not a stamp set, it's just a stamp on its own, one of the big ones. These next to the happy birthday and the thinking of you are from a card making magic set, I think, which I got on sale from Craft Stash a very long time ago. I'll try and link it if I can. And then I do go back and stamp and emboss something else towards the end of this video, but I can't remember what that is, so we'll find out when we get there. I'm embossing with Paper Mania embossing powder. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically black with rainbow sparkles. It's my favourite thing to emboss with because obviously with it being black you can see it very clearly, but that extra added sparkle just gives it, you know, a little bit of something else. And then each one of these sentiments I'm going to carefully rip around the words just so they look nice and rough and shabby chic. Ask if you can hear a child outside. There's just children walking past. It's half term. It's a risk. There's always noisy children about. Anyways, round the edges of those sentiments, they were just stamped on white cardstock scraps, by the way, going around the edges with Distress Oxide in Victorian Velvet because it's my favourite. And then these bits that are from the Summer Rhapsody paper pack, I have distressed the edges with the Distress tool, and I'm going around the edges with some gold Versacolour ink, give it a nice little extra something, bit of shine. And then this bit of paper here, this is from Maggie Holmes', I've forgotten, it's either Bloom or Flourish. It's from the American Crafts Digitals website, so I paid for and downloaded a whole Maggie Holmes collection. Obviously I can print it off as much as I want, there's no copyright theft or anything going on here. This is all genuine and legal and above board. I only say that because I saw someone else in a video use some AC Digital stuff, and someone had a go at them about like photocopying things, and she was like, no, I bought this, I'm allowed to print it off and use it if it's for my own use, kind of thing. So I just thought, you know, just put that little disclaimer out there. Anywho, yeah, so I stuck those down on there, ripped around the edges, going around the edges of those again with the oxide, and then just sticking those down with my 3D gloss gel. I did think about sticking these main parts down with foam, especially where they're going over the sewn down trim and stuff, but actually once I'd put the gel on the back of those, it wasn't really needed, and they're not like lumpy or anything in awkward places. They look fine. So yes, and then sticking down the sentiments in appropriate places. And then I remembered my Thinking of You card, I actually wanted it to say get well soon, so that stamp I'm going to stamp and emboss it with Paper Mania Gold metallic embossing powder, and that is from a Dovecraft big set, which is fairly new, so I should be able to link that. If not, it should be in my Amazon storefront. And then again, ripping around that, gonna go around the edges with the oxide and just glue it down on top of that little card that I cut out. Sorry, had to pause the voiceover again because I had to have another coughing fit. Oh, it's so annoying. Anyways, as I said, I'm fine, it's just such an annoying cough. Moving on, I left those aside to dry for a little while just so that the gloss gel was nice and in place and I wasn't going to accidentally move anything. I am going to use flowers that were from my kit as well as some flowers from my stash to use to just embellish these cards. I think the pink flowers just go really well with the theme. I think I use one mint flower, which is that's one from my stash, just it added a little extra something to the card. And yeah, I think basically most of the small ones are from my kit and the larger ones are from my stash. But yeah, if you're interested in the little flowers and stuff from Thompson's Craft, she does these like little flower grab bags, which I will try and link for you as well. They're really, really handy. And then of course I wanted to add lots of like round things like enamel dots and pearls and stuff. These ones I'm using, I bought these from The Works a very long time ago, so I have no idea if you can still get them. They're called turquoise dome stickers, and they kind of look like turquoise as in the semi-precious stone turquoise, so they're really, really pretty. Then I'm adding some 10mm Simply Creative pearls, and everything is getting a little dab of the gloss gel before I stick it on. Even though they are adhesive backed, they just need something extra, especially when you're sticking them on something that's got such a heavy mixed media background. And then I think once I've got all my pearls down and I am happy with those, it's probably time, Kel Surprise, for Nouveau drops. Oh no, wait, splatters before Nouveau drops. It's always a good idea to do splatters before Nouveau drops, because otherwise then you splatter into your drops before they dry and you might get weird murky colours. So again, I'm using that Fabrica Takuru chalk spray in pink. I don't like the way, I changed my mind, I don't like the way it splatters just with the little nozzle thing, so I'm actually just using a thin paintbrush and just dipping it into the bottle and splattering it on like that. Then I just watered down some white gesso and using that for splatters as well. Just sometimes it works better than a white spray because it's slightly thicker and shows up a little bit better as well. And I made such a mess with that. You can see it all over my hands, and I think it ended up on my face as well. But and then here we go. Here are the Nouveau drops. I am going to use vintage drops in Dusty Rose and then stone drops in Chalk White. And I think I need to have a session of cleaning out my Nouveau drop nozzles because neither of those were behaving very well. Like you saw with the vintage drops, I was having to squeeze with both hands, and then this one was just making some very, very strange shapes that I had to make into circles by sort of stirring it with the nozzle top. So that's a little note to self. Clean your Nouveau drop nozzles. Anyways, with that, my cards are complete. As I said, once they were all dry and stuff, I then stuck them down onto card blanks to make them actual cards, and then there we go. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will leave Thompson's Craft Supplies links and links to products used, or as many as I can link, in the description box. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Chat to me down in the comments, and I'm gonna go. Bye bye!